Hey guys, Sean Hammond with Premier Guitar here. We've got Greg Koch on the line. Greg, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Sean. How you doing?
Doing well, doing well. So you've been having a spate of like signature gear coming out, and the latest is the new Fishman Gristle-tone pickups, right?
That is correct.
So tell us the scoop on how this got started and what inspired it and what you love about them.
Okay, well, it was kind of a simultaneous thing of I had an idea for another iteration of the Reverend Gristlemaster guitar. And I wanted to do something with P90s. And I had been talking with Fishman about doing a P90 pickup for a while since, I've been working with them on the Fluence stuff. And of course, I have my signature set of tele pickups with them, the Gristle-tone pickups for T-style guitars. And so, the P90s was something that was very interesting to me because I've always liked the sound of P90s. I've always liked the look of P90s, the vibe, if you will. But they're just one of those pickups that's just, there's so many different variants, and even though that's kind of a sensitive word at this point in time, there's so many different versions of those pickups. And also when you add any kind of gain structure to them, a lot of times the noise is unbearable, right? So I was very interested in coming up with what I thought was a really excellent sounding P90. And of course, with the Fluence technology, you're able to have a couple different voices. In this case, actually the 3 different voices. So it's really, really a versatile pickup to begin with. They sound unbelievable. And of course, they're noise free. So, and they turned out spectacularly as, every time we begin these processes, we're going after initially, let's try to nail down, some P90s that we really like and try to approach their sounds, right? And so it always begins where that's not quite it, that's not quite it. And then by the time we dial them in, I prefer the sound of these pickups over the actual P90s we were shooting for. And that happened again. It happened with the tele pickups and so on and so forth. So it's been a real fun process, and I think they're absolutely spectacular. So I'm excited to get them out.
Sweet. So yeah, that was one of my big questions: how much of the Fluence technology is involved in these? So are they technically part of the Fluence series, or just using some of that technology? Or
they absolutely are part of the Fluence line. So, again, for those who aren't aware, basically, there's magnets in these things. Instead of having copper windings surrounding the magnets, it's actually these aerospace, really thin circuit boards that the coil is printed on. And that in and of itself is kind of anemic sounding on its own if you were just to plug in those pickups as is with that template. But because they're circuit boards, you can actually voice the way you want that coil to sound. So that's why there's a preamp on board. And so we just can't stop, we just don't have to stop with one sound. We can have multiple sounds. And so, as I said, we end up having 3 different sounds in here. So it's not like it's adding something to the original sound. It's almost as if you have to imagine that we're yanking out one set of pickups and replacing it with another. And because that's what's basically happening. What's fun in the creative process of voicing the pickups, we would have these shuttle guitars where we're able to pop out the actual, regular conventionally wound P90 pickups, pop those out, pop the Fluence prototypes in, and then in real time adjust on a computer. Well, no, why don't we add a little bit more of this, and be able to dial in the sound more, pop those back out, pop the other one in. And as I said, by the time we were done with the voicing process, I preferred the sound of what we were getting versus the actual conventional P90s.
Nice. Now, we actually did a pretty cool story on the Fishman Fluence technology when it first came out a few years ago. And since then, it's kind of taken a lot of people by surprise and like infiltrated like metal especially, and lots of other players too. And so anyone who wants to find out more about the little wafer thin circuit board,
wafer thin, yes,
give me a bucket. No. So like do you have like 2 different voicing modes on this guitar then?
Yeah, actually there's 3. So I just need to say, just for clarification. So the pickups have first been available on my Reverend instrument, and those feature more of a conventional, like with the tele style pickups that I did earlier with Fishman. Comes with a conventional tele control panel with a button in between that allows you to go between 2 voices. Okay, just to get that out of the way. But how Fishman is selling them as a standalone product is more the conventional 2-volume, 2-tone control configuration, okay? And so with these, they come with a push-pull pot on both the bridge pickup and neck pickup that actually gets you between voice 1, voice 2, and then on the rhythm pickup, it's actually a third voice, which I'll get to in a minute. So the first 2 voices, which are also on the Reverend version, go between something that's more of a vintage kind of P90, which I like to equate with, if I use my vernacular terms, I was going for a neck pickup that has that kind of glassy velvet sound, as opposed to more of the glassy, regular, conventional single coil sound. It's got this kind of velvety, thicker vibe to it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this tone control here on the, what would normally be the, and it still is, the treble pickup tone control. I'm going to pop it up, and that's going to give me a second voice that's got just a little bit more meat to it. Here's the first one. So now there is a third voice. If I bring up this tone control, which is the neck pickup tone control, now that's going to be more of a conventional single coil that you would, more telly and strat like. Bridge. Now here's back to voice 1. Here's voice 2. Here's voice 3. You get the idea. So it's kind
nice
of
variety there.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of different cool tones, and of course, with the Fluence technology, when you roll back the volume, you don't lose any highs. So it's like the treble bleed switch is already pre-installed. You know what I mean? So as a result, it allows you to, really have a lot of dynamic control, especially with the 3 different voicings. So it's very, very pleasant.
So, Greg, were there any specific guitars that you brought in and you're like, I want the pickups to sound like this? Or did Fishman already have a bunch in stock and you're like, I love that one, I love that one, I like the neck pickup on that one? Or
it was kind of both. So they had kind of pre-dialed in some stuff. And then I had a guitar of mine that a buddy of mine made for me that I believe had some Klein P90s on board. And we brought that out. But I also brought out the prototypes to my Reverend Gristle Master. We actually had the prototypes with Reverend's P90s already in it that I really liked. And one of the things, it was interesting because, obviously I do a lot of stuff out of Wildwood Guitars out in Colorado. And the guy that handles, among other things, a lot of the Reverend stuff is a guy named Lance Bowser. He's a great kind of under-the-radar metal shredder. He's got unbelievable chops and puts out all kinds of wild instrumental music. And he's a single P90 guy, and he plays a Reverend with a single P90, and he loves Joe Naylor's version of the P90s. And he said, listen, I'm begging you. He goes, I hear all kinds of different P90s that come through this shop on a variety of different guitars by a bunch of different manufacturers, and I love Naylor's P90s. If you could get close to that and make sure that cool honky quality is in there, that would be awesome. And I shared the same sentiments. I mean, when I played that guitar as it was, meaning my prototype of the Reverend guitar with the conventional P90s in it, really had those characters of that neck pickup having that velvety glass thing and that honk. It almost sounds a little bit out of phasey, but it just has a character to bridge pickup by itself. So we aimed for that. But as I said, as we were kind of messing around with all of the above, we really kind of came into our own that encompassed kind of all the things we liked about all the different versions of P90s we had access to. So that by the end of it, it was something that I totally wanted. And you know what's also interesting about voicing these pickups too is that, you know, we go through this process, especially because of COVID. You know, I was out there, I think we voiced the first barrage of voicings we did in January of 2020. And then I was out there, I believe, the first week in March of 2020, right before the lockdown. So, and that was it. So the next time I heard the pickups is when they sent me, you know, they installed a proto set type of the pickups in one of the proto Reverends that they had out at Fishman, and they sent it to me. And there's always that moment like, is it going to sound as good as I remember? You know, because that's always the thing, right? You voice something, I think it sounded good. And then when I got it and I plugged it in, like, oh, hell yeah. It's just, it was such, well, of course it's a relief, but then it you know, you can tell if you want to play it and it inspires you like, oh, thank God, now I got this thing and I can play it and I don't want to play anything else as far as, you know, that's what you're aiming for. So it, you know, it's been a really good relationship with both Fishman and obviously with Reverend as well, is that the stuff really, you know, it's something I want to use as an, you know, artist and striving for tone and want to be inspired by it. It always, I have to say, exceeds expectation. So always fun. It's fun. Sean, it's fun, doggone it.
Now, have we covered all of the features that you wanted to cover in terms of switchability and stuff?
Well, one thing that's interesting is there's some different features that are available on the standalone Fishman version of the pickups that aren't available on the Reverend guitar and vice versa. I just want to get into that real quick because it might be a little confused. Well, it just needs clarification. So one of the things that really excited me about doing these pickups is I love the Peter Green out of phase wiring that allows you to, when you're in the middle position, obviously the toggle switch, and you're fully out of phase, that sound that you get when you just roll back one of the volumes just a hair, it's not quite out of phase and it gets this thicker other thing. And so I wanted to have that sound available. And so we were able to dial it in such a way on the Reverend version so that when you go to that out of phase setting, it's actually a preset that's under the hood that allows you to, I have it so it's just one of the volume controls is just off center just a little bit to allow you that. So it's like a preset of that tone, right? So on my set of pickups that you get from, that comes installed in the Reverend guitar, you have the first two voices that I went through here. But you also, if you pop up the tone control when you're in the middle position, you get this out of phase setting, okay? On the standalone Fishman set that you buy for aftermarket installations, you get the two voices, but obviously you get the two volume controls, two tone controls, you get the two voices. You get that third voice that is that other single coil sound, but you don't get the out of phase thing. And the reason why we did that, what we decided upon, is because to add in that out of phase setting to this set, it would have made it, the price would have jumped considerably. And that's not a sound that everyone wants. So it's going to be available as an added feature if you want it. So the pickups, I guess, as they stand alone go for like $289.95. They would have been considerably more than that to whatever, you know, maybe an extra $50 or whatever the case may be. I can't speak to the exact number, but somewhere around there to have that out of phase setting on board. And so we decided to make that an aftermarket feature, as well as the reactive tone control. One of the things that we did when we were doing my telly pickups is we wanted to have it so I could do all of my telly tricks with the tone control, you know, the tone control wahs and all that other kind of stuff, which just gives you a little bit more of a sweep when you're, you know, it's more reactive. I guess that's why it's called that. So you can actually add that as well as an added feature. So those are the two added features that you can add. And actually, reactive tone control you can add, I believe, to any of the Fluence sets, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure I'll be corrected if that's not the case. But so that's what we decided to do. So if I'll just explain. So I've got that installed on this guitar. So what we did as the added, again, as an added feature, I can go pop up on the volume of the middle pickup. I'm sorry, middle pickup of the neck pickup and get the out of phase sound. So that's fully out of phase. Now, if I back off on the volume of the bridge, you hear it kind of get fatter there, right? That Peter Greeny thing, which I love. So it's cool to have that versatility and have that on board. So I definitely wanted that. Fishman set me up with this glorious Lester, which has, everything tricked out. So it's got the set of pickups with the upgrades on it of the reactive tone control and the phase switch. Switcheroony. I don't know if that's the official marketing term, but it is now.
It is now. TM.
That's right.
Okay, so we know the price is $289.95 plus a little bit more, whatever it's going to be. The Fishman decides for the upgrade, and these are basically available right now, right?
Correct. By the time this video airs, they should be available wherever Fishmans can be procured. Or you can also check out more information at fishman.com/P90, I believe it is.
Perfect. All right, Greg, thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us, everyone, on YouTube and premierguitar.com. Hit subscribe so you don't miss out on other stuff like this, rig rundowns and gear spotlights, all that good stuff. And Greg, do you mind playing us out?
You know what? I should probably add a little distortion to this thing so we can hear a little bit about how that sounds, right?